Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the topic the solubility of drug part 3. In previous one we have to see the basic introductions about the solubility and the solubility of liquid in liquid and solubility of gas in liquid. In today's sessions we have to discuss about the solubility of solid in liquid. So before we have to start we have to see some basic parts. The solubility of solid in liquid, it is very most important parameter or types for the pharmaceutical preparation, especially for solution and for the pharmaceutical dosage forms. We have to go for preparing, mostly we have to go for the oral dosage form. In that specifically we have to go for the solid dosage form, so we have to use tablet, capsule. So for that we have to know about the solubility of the API, the solubility of drug in the preparation of oral solution, oral dosage form. In that liquid dosage form we have to go for preparing. So in that type also we have to know that the solubility of drug in particular solvent media. So it is very much important to know about the solubility of solid in liquid. So before we have to go for that, so we have to see the solubility parameters, the terminologies are there. So the two equations are the two parameters are there to find out the solubility for the drug or compound. So the first, the Hildebrand solubility parameter, or Hildebrand and Scott, that describe the new parameters, that is called the solubility parameters, for the prediction, to predict the solubility of the compound or the molecules or the drugs. Say that it expresses the cohesion between the like molecules and may be calculated by using the heat, heat of the vaporization and molar volumes of the solute at the desired temperature. So it is the square root of the internal pressure, cohesive energy, the density. So delta it is equal to under root of delta HV minus RT upon Vm. So that is the equations for Hildebrand to describe the solubility parameters. So more alike are the delta values of two components. The greater is their mutual solubility of that pair. So we have to use that type of parameters to predict, and it helps guides for the determination of the solubility. Second, for that Hansen solubility parameter, so that delta T is equal to that on delta D plus delta P plus delta H. Okay, so that consists of three parts. The based on their dispersion force, so delta D, the dipole movement, the polarity, that is delta P, the polar natures, and delta H is represent for the hydrogen bond compound. So it expressed based on the dispersion force, polar natures, polar dipole components, and the hydrogen bond. So based on there they have to express the solubility parameters, that is Hansel's solubility parameter. Next terminology, that is solvation or the dissolution, the solvation process, the interaction of solute with the solvent, that which leads to stabilization of solute species in the solution. So solute molecules surrounded by the solvent molecules. So in that already previously we have to see the solution, how to prepare the solutions, the solute and solvents. We have to go for it. Solute we have to add into solvent, it prepares the solution. So here the possibilities are there in the solvations: endothermic, dissolutions, exothermic. So based on the energy. The second terminology, that is association. So the chemical reactions in which the opposite charge ions, the opposite electrical charge ions, come together in the solutions and form a distinct chemical entity. So that is process called the associations, that classify the nature of interaction, the contact, solvent share, solvent separated like that. Next, if we go for the method for determination of solubility, so thermodynamically and kinetic based solubilities are there. So the criteria requires the solute and solvent must be pure. Sample is removed from the analysis after the confirmation of saturation. So we have to go for the saturation point. After that, we have to go for the separation. Sample separation from the saturated solutions with undissolved solute must be reliable and satisfactory. The method that is used to analyze the solution must be reliable, reproducible. So for the analytical part, analysis of the sample, the method must be reliable, reproducible, like the temperature must be adequate and controlled throughout the procedures. So for the determination of solubility, simple methods, shake flask methods generally we have to use. So we have to add the solute in the solvent, the saturation point. After that, we have to go for the shaking, stirring, like that for the 24 hours, like that we have to go for the shaking parts. After that, saturation point, the undissolved particles we have to see, so maximum amount of drug that we have to add. After that, we have to go for the separations by any method like filtrations, and so we have to filter out the excess undissolved solid. They have to stay into the filtration process, filter paper, and then we have to collect the sample, and that samples we have to go for the analysis by any of the analytical method for determine the quantity or the concentration or amount of the drug. So that we have to go for the UV spectroscopy, HPLC, like that the analytical method that is reliable and reproducible. That method we have to use to determine the solubility. So simple shake flask method. So addition of solute in the solvent up to the saturation. After that, you have to go for the filtration, remove the undissolved excess amount of drug, and then you have to go for the analytic part. Next, the factors that influencing the solubility of drug. So which are the factors that affect the solubility of solid in liquid? So that is mainly the solute related factors, solvent related, means the nature of solute and solvents, the environmental related factors, and the formulation related factors are there. So we have to see the factor that is temperature, nature of solvent, pressure, pH, the particle size, the nature of the solid, the crystals, molecular structures, the modification, solute solvent interaction, sorry, so addition of the substance, co-solvent, surfactant like solubilizing agents, the common ion effect, like there are so many factors that affecting the solubility of drug. We have to see one by one the particle size. So the particle size of the solid that affect in the solubility in a given solvent, that is, if decrease the particle size, that increase the effective surface area, and effective surface area increase, so it increase the solubility. So the particle size of solid is inversely proportional to the solubility of drug. If particle size reduce, solubility increase. If particle size increase, the solubility is decrease. So this because of decrease in particle size, it result in increase the effective surface area, surface energy, increase the solubility of the drug. So that is we have to go for the micronization. So we have to reduce the particle size by size reduction method. So that influence the solubility of drug. So greater the surface area by the reducing the particle size, and it increase the solubility of your drug. The effect of temperature. So most widely the solubility of solid in liquid that affect by the effect of temperature. So the solubility of most of the solid is significantly affected by the temperature. So we change the temperature, so that affect the solubility of drug. So solid that dissolves in liquid, a change in their physical state of the solid take place. So for the dissolve of that substance, it must separate the intermolecular force which is surrounded by the molecules. So for the separation of that molecular force or molecules that require certain amount of energy, so we have to apply the heat or increase the temperature, so that heat is required to break the intermolecular force or their bonds that holding the molecules to each other in the solid together. So when we have to apply the heat, so that bond is go for the breakdown and the molecules go for the separation. So at the same time the heat is given off during the formation of new solid solvent bond. So we have to say that the solubility is directly proportional to the temperature. So if we increase the temperature, it increases the solubility of solid in solvent or solid in liquid. So it is, we can call as a direct correlations between the temperature and the solubility. Decrease is not a necessary in all the cases. So if that statements are there, if increase the temperature, increase the solubility of drug, decrease the temperature, decrease solubility, like, but in some case the solubility decrease with the increase the temperature. So we have to know about when heat is absorbed in the dissolution process. So heat is absorbed in the dissolution process or solubility process. So it is endothermic process. The solubility of compound increase with the heat. So when heat is evolved in the dissolution process, so it is process called the exothermic process. The solubility of compound decrease with heat. So we have to see the statement. In all the conditions, their statements are not considered that is that they generally increase in the temperature, increase the solubility of the drug. But in exceptional case, when the exothermic process are there, and with that times we increase the temperature, that decrease the solubility. So in the exothermic process, what happens? If the heat given off in this process of the dissolution is greater than the heat required to break apart of the solid, so we have to already see that we have to apply the heat, or heat is required to break down the intermolecular force or holding the solid molecules together. That bonds we have to break by applying the heat. So that heat is required. But if the heat given off in the process of dissolution is greater than the heat required to break apart of the solid, so that time the exothermic process are there, and that times you have to say that if increase the solubility by decreasing the temperature. So example, calcium hydroxide, it is not very common type of this. In this condition, the addition of more heat or increase the temperature, so it inhibit the dissolution or dissolving reaction, since excess heat is already being produced by the reaction. So that is, the heat given off in the process is greater than the heat required. So most of the substances are endothermic in nature as compared to exothermic. So that times the endothermic in the nature. So endothermic process, the solubility increase with the increasing the temperature, and vice versa for the decreasing the temperature, so it decrease the solubility. So if heat is in the endothermic, so if heat is given off in the dissolution reaction is less than the heat required to break apart the solid, therefore the heat is drawn from the surrounding part, and the addition of more heat facilitated the dissolving reactions by providing the energy to break down the intermolecular, the holding bonds in the solid. So it is very common the situation where condition reactions occur as compared to exothermic part. So the solubility curve is used to describe the effect of temperatures on a given system. We have to see the endothermic, exothermic parts are there. So most of the solid belongs to the class compound that absorb the heat when they go for the dissolution. Endothermic process that occurs, so that increasing the temperature, that increase the solubility of drug. That is our general statement. Next, the influence of pH. So it is also the major parameter, most important parameter for the solubility of drug, because the solubility of drug is pH dependent. So if we can change the pH, it also alter the solubility parts are there. So it is one of the primary influence of the solubility of most of the drugs that contain the ionizable group. So the ionization or dissociation, it is dependent on the pH. So majority of drugs are either weak acid or weak base. Large number of drugs are there. So their solubility depends on their degree of ionization. Degree of ionization, it is ionization means this molecules or compounds that break or dissociate or separate out into the ions. And the degree of ionization, that is depend on the pH. So directly we can get solubility is depend on pH, because the ionization is depend on pH and solubility depends on degree of ionization. Most of the drugs are weak acid or base. So for non-ionizing substance, solubility can be enhanced by the change of their dipole moment. So pH has little effect on non-ionizable substance. If ionizable substance are there, so the pH taking the role and then that affecting the solubility. So in case of ionizable substance, the solubility is the function of pH. The solubility of weak acid is increased by the increasing the pH, and for the weak base increasing by the decreasing the pH. So for the weak acid, the solubility is increased by increasing the pH. For weak base, increase the solubility by decreasing the pH. So like that the relations are there for the ionizable substance. For non-ionizable substance, less effect or less little role of the pH for non-ionizable substance. It is most important for the ionizable substance. Influence of solvents. It is one of another parameter factors, most important factors for affecting the solubilizing or solubility is the nature of the solvent. So generally solubility of solid, that is depend on the nature of both solute as well as solvent, both the nature that we have to require, the polarity, polar, non-polar, the type of terminology that we have to use. So polarity of solute and the polarity of solvents that affect the solubility, we have to use the terminology like dissolve, like. So polar solute dissolve in polar solvent and non-polar solute dissolve in non-polar solvents. So the polar solute is insoluble or low soluble in the non-polar solvents, and non-polar solute dissolves likely in the non-polar solvents, and polar solutes dissolves more rapidly in polar solvents as compared to non-polar. That in non-polar part, that is practically insoluble, low solubles are there. So the solubility of non-polar solute in polar solvents, that can be increased by the addition of another solvents. Addition of another solvents, like we have to go for the co-solvents, surfactants, like that we have to use for the non-polar solute in the polar solvents. So in that, generally the amorphous form of the drug is more soluble than the crystalline form, and for the more one crystals are present, more than one crystals, so that we have to call the polymorphs, and the polymorph also differ there in the physiochemical profile, their melting point, density, solubility, viscosity, like that. So mostly in that polymorph also, the metapolymorph are more soluble than the stable form. So that is the influence of the nature of solute and the solvent. In the solvent already we have to see the nature, that is polar and non-polar. So polar solute mostly dissolve, more rapidly dissolve in polar solvent, and polar solute less soluble in non-polar solvent. Like that, similar non-polar solute mostly dissolve in non-polar solvents. And then if we have to go for the non-polar solute, we have to dissolve in polar solvent, so we have to add the third substance, that is the co-solvent, like that. So effect of crystal and polymorph, already we have to see that the amorphous form have a higher aqueous solubility or more solubility than the crystalline form, and in crystal form polymorph also, metastable polymorph have a better solubility than the stable form. So the co-solvents, the addition of the third substance, that we have to use the process to co-solvency. So using of co-solvent, the propylene glycol, polyethylene glycol, ethanols, like that, which are miscible with the water and which act as a better solvents for the solute So that is the co-solvent approach. Similar like co-solvents, we have to go for the addition of surfactant, so that also increasing the solubility. The solubility of poorly soluble or poorly aqueous soluble drug may be enhanced by the technique that we have to use the micelle solubilizations, which involves the use of the surfactant, like example twin, span, bridge, like that. The SLS, the surfactant that increasing the solubility of drug. So when surfactants having hydrophilic and hydrophilic portion is added to the liquid, it rearranges itself to form a spherical aggregate type of form that is known as micelle. So micelle solubilizations approach that we have to use. Another effect of complex formation. So the apparent solubility of some solutes that is in a liquid may be increased or decreased by the addition of that substance that form the complex. So either that is more or less soluble, so that also affect increase or decrease the solubility of drug. Example for that, the solubility of iodine in water that is increased by the addition of Ki3, the potassium iodide, which form a soluble complex. So like that the possibility are, so if some complex that forms that is less soluble, that is also possibilities are there. The next, the common ion effect. So it is the suppression of the degree of dissociation of weak electrolytes that containing a common ion. So it is a generally we can call the suppression of degree of dissociation of the electrolytes. Otherwise we can call the solubility of sparingly soluble salt or electrolytes that is reduced or decreased in the solution by the addition of second electrolytes that process a similar ion effect. So this phenomena, this process that we can call as a common ion effect. The process in which solubility of weak electrolytes is reduced by the addition of strong electrolytes. That is also the common ion effect is the phenomena which can influence the solubility of electrolytes by suppressing the ionizations, or reduce or degree the dissociation or ionization process of the weak acid or the base. So example, addition of the sodium chloride that reduce the solubility of sodium salt. So that is the effect of common ion. Another part, the effect of non-electrolytes. So non-electrolytes on the solubility of electrolytes. So in that case the electrolyte is dissociated. So in that the solubility of electrolytes, generally we can say that the electrolyte is dissociated by the effect of the dielectric effect or dielectric constants of the polar solvent. So the solvent which high dielectric constants like water, so that reduce the attraction force between the opposite charge ions of that electrolyte, that reduce in the dissociation to opposite charge ion in the solvent. So this dissociation of that electrolytes is lower and the solubility is also decreasing if the effect of dielectric constant is diminished or decreased or reduced by the addition of the non-electrolytes. So like the example alcohol, which lower the dielectric constant of the solvents, making difficult to dissolve the electrolytes. So we have to see the solubility of electrolytes in water, that it primarily depend on the dissociation of the dissolved molecules into the ion. The ease with which the electrolyte dissociate, that is dependent on the dielectric effect, the ability of solvent to produce the charge separation between positive and the negative ions, that is dielectric effect so of the electrolyte, keep them ionized of that solvent, so which depend on the that polar nature of the solvent. So addition of water soluble non-electrolyte such as alcohol to an water aqueous solutions of a sparingly soluble salt or weak electrolytes. So they decrease the solubility of sparingly soluble electrolytes. This effect is due to the lowering the dielectric constant or the charge separation ability of the solvent by the non-electrolytes, and thus in terms that reduce the dissociation of that salt. Similar like the effect of electrolytes on the solubility of non-electrolytes. So here in that case the non-electrolytes is a substance which does not dissociate into the ions in any solvent. So it is solubility of non-electrolyte depend primarily on the formation of weak intermolecular force like van der Waals hydrogen between their molecules and those of the water. So in that addition of very soluble electrolytes, strong electrolytes having more affinity towards the water, that reduce the solubility of non-electrolytes by competing for the aqueous solvent, that go for the for the aqueous solution for the bind, and that breaking the intermolecular force between that non-electrolytes and the water. So this process also we can call as a salting out effect. Next we have to go for the theory of the solution, that is ideal solution and the real solution. So we have to go for that. So we have to see before the law, that is Raoult's law. So what is that? So that is expressions the vapor pressure of liquid that serve as a quantitative expression for the describing the tendency of that molecule. So that Raoult's law states that the partial vapor pressure of each volatile constituent is equal to the vapor pressure of pure constituent multiplied by its mole fractions in the solution at any given temperature. So that we have to consider that the partial vapor pressure of that liquid, so it is equal to, suppose Pa is there, so Pa is equal to vapor pressure of pure liquid multiplied by the mole fraction of that liquid. So Pa is equal to Pa 0 into multiplied by Xa, like that. Similar for that, for the Pb is equal to Pb 0 into Xb. So that the Raoult's law statements, already we have to see that the partial vapor pressure of each volatile constituent is equal to the vapor pressure of that pure constituents that multiply by its mole fraction of that solution at any given temperature. So the solution is homogeneous, we can see by the definitions. So this number can be expressed on the mole fraction scale. So we consider the mixture of miscible liquid of examples A and B is there. So we have to consider the let partial vapor pressure of extracted by the liquid A, that is Pa. Let's partial vapor pressure extracted by the liquid B, Pb. So for that, the vapor pressure extracted by pure liquid A is equal to the Pa 0 into Kpa. For that, similar for the B, like Pb 0, the Kpa, the K. So let mole fractions concentration of A in liquid, that is Xa, and for the mole fraction of concentration B is Xp. So the equations becomes, mathematically we can say, partial vapor pressure of the liquid is equal to vapor pressure of pure liquid into multiplied by the mole fraction of the liquid. So when the two liquid are mixed, the vapor pressure of each one is reduced by the presence of other, by the extent of dilutions each phase. So that we can go. Second one, the Dalton's law. So Dalton's law of partial pressure, that states that the total pressure that is extracted by the mixtures of ideal gas, that may be considered as sum of the partial vapor pressure extracted by the each gas, if alone were present and occupy the total volume. So Dalton's law mathematically we can express with the statement, so total vapor pressure, total pressure is equal to partial vapor pressure of A plus partial vapor pressure of B. That we have to substitute that P and PB value from the Raoult's law, that we have to see that. So P is equal to PA plus PB. So that we have to substitute the equation. So P is equal to PA0 XA plus PB0 XB. So that is the equation for the Dalton's law. So that the ideal solution terminologies are there. So ideal solutions, that is defined as the one in which there is no change in the property of the component other than the dilutions when they are going for mixing. So we have to mix the two liquids and we have to binary mixtures when we have to get the ideal solution. So the criteria is there. So there is no change in their physical or chemical properties of that component other than the dilutions when they go for the mixing. So the solution which obey the Raoult's law in all the solute composition in the solvent. So in that the heat is not absorbed or evolved during the mixing. There is no change in the property. So what we have to see, that there is no change or no absorb or evolve the heat during the mixing process. So final volume represented by the additive properties of the individual constituent. We have to mix the two compositions so that the final volume represents the additive properties. No shrinkage or expansion when liquid is going for mixing. Similar properties like attractive force are in complete uniformity, so that we can call as a ideal solution. Here the examples: the methanol water, benzene toluene, the hydrogen bonding and dipole interactions are there, non-polar and induced dipole-dipole interaction, NX and NF are there. The second terminology is in that theory of solution, that is real solution or non-ideal solution. The solution which do not obey the Raoult's law over the entire range. So it means when we have to go for the mixing, so it changes the properties of that component. Chemical physical changes are there. So we have to find out if they are not follow the Raoult's law. So that is our real solution or non-ideal solution. So that give some deviation from the Raoult's law. So that the deviations are the positive and the negative. So we have to see one by one the positive deviations. We have to observe the deviations, that is observed because of solute solvent and the solvent interactions are unequal. So that we have to give, or we have to see the non-ideal or real type of the solutions are there. So in that the positive deviations and the negative deviations are there. So what actually happened in that positive deviations from the Raoult's law? So when the interactions between the A and B molecules is less than the interaction between the molecules of pure constituent AA, solute, solvent, BB, the presence of B molecule reduce the interactions of the AA molecules, correspondingly reduce the BB interaction. So here we can say that the total vapor pressure is the addition. So here the ideal solution and non-ideal solutions, the difference are there, that obey the Raoult's law. So PA is equal to PA0 XA0. In the non-ideal solution, they are not obey the Raoult's law. So PA does not equal to PA0 XA0. There is change in the enthalpy that take place during the formations of the solution. There is no change in the enthalpy. There is change in the volume during the formation of solution. So the additions, there is no change in the non-ideal part for the volume. So continuously for that, according to dissimilarity of the polarities or internal pressure of the constituent result in greater escaping tendency of that both A and B molecules. So the partial vapor pressure of that constituent is greater than that expected from the Raoult's law. So here that go for the above the expectations of that Raoult's law. So that is called as a positive deviation. The examples for that is benzene and ethyl alcohol. In the negative deviations in the graph, you have to see that the total vapor pressure is below that the ideal solution, that Raoult's law that follow the statements are there. So negative deviations when the adhesive attractions that between the molecules of the different species exceed the cohesive attractions between the like molecules. So the vapor pressure of the solution is less than that expected from the Raoult's law. So that is our negative deviation. The chloroform and acetone is an example. So we have to see the positive deviations, what happens. So in that the liquid system, the vapor pressure is greater than the sum of the partial pressure of that individual component. Such system that is called. In Raoult's law, what we have to say, that the sum of the partial pressure is, the additions are there, but in the positive deviation the vapor pressure is greater than the sum of the partial pressure of individual components. So that is the positive deviations. In negative deviations, what happens? So in that system the vapor pressure is less than the sum of the partial pressure of that individual component. So such system that exhibits the negative deviations from the Raoult's law. The next one, the Nernst distribution law or distribution law or partition coefficient, like that. So here in that case, if the solute that distributes between the two immiscible solvent, like organic phase and the aqueous phase, two immiscible, two separate layers are there. So if the solute distribute between the two immiscible solvent at the constant temperature, so then the ratio of that its concentration in two solvents is the constant value. So that is the statement of that the Nernst distribution law. So we can also call the dissolved substance, irrespective of this their amount, its amount that distribute itself between the two immiscible solvent in a constant with each other in such a way that the equilibrium, the rate of the ratio of that concentration of substance in the two layer is constant at any given temperature. So that is also the statement we can call for the Nernst distribution law. So we have to see if the liquid or solute or the excess of the solid is added to the mixture of two immiscible liquids. So it will distribute between the, so it will distribute itself between the two phase, the organic and aqueous phase, so that each becomes go for the saturated, and if substance is added to the immiscible solvent in an amount insufficient to saturate the solution, so it will still distribute between the two layer in a definite concentration ratio. So here the equations for that, the C1 upon Ct is equal to K. So if C1 and C2 are the equilibrium concentration of the substance in the solvent 1 and 2, and it means the organic and the aqueous solvent phase respectively, the equilibrium equation becomes, already we have to see that C1 upon C2 is equal to K. So K is the equilibrium constant or the distribution ratio, distribution coefficient or the partition coefficient. So for applying the distribution law or Nernst distribution law or partition coefficient, some criteria or conditions are required. So that is our limitations are there. So solute concentration must be low, not too high. The dilute solution, dilute concentrations we have to require, not the concentrated solutions are there. Solute concentration is not up to the high. Low concentrations that we have to use, so we have to apply that Nernst distribution law. The temperature must be constant, so solubility vary as the temperature changes. So here the condition criteria is there, we have to fix or constant the temperature throughout the process. Same molecular state, so the criteria is that, so the solute should be in the same molecular state in the both the solvents. There are no go for any reaction, solute and solvent, there no go for any chemical reactions or any changes are there. So it is become same molecular state in both the solvents. It should not go for the association and dissociation of that solute. Then the equilibrium concentration, so it must say achieved by the shaking the mixtures for longer time to achieve the equilibrium concentration saturation part. Then the non-miscibility of that solvent. Two solvents should be immiscible. That is a criteria required. That is immiscible with each other. No solubility or miscibilities are there with each other. Slightly soluble in each other maybe, but mostly the criteria required that is immiscible. So there are some condition criteria that is required when we have to apply the Nash distribution law. That is dilute solution, constant temperature, same molecular state, equilibrium concentration, and the non-miscibility of that solvent. The next one, that is the applications. So generally we have to apply for the separation process, the distribution law, Nash distribution law, the extraction process, the preservative, the actions of weak acids in oil water system, that times we have to apply for the process of absorption distributions, like that process, that times also we have to use that type of approach for the partition coefficient or the Nash distribution law, where the hydrophilic and lipophilic natures are there. So that times the drug absorption, distribution, and their actions, that is depend on their absorption and distribution. So this is the applications for the Nash distribution law. So here in that discussion we have to see the solubility parameters, the theory of the solution, the ideal and real solution in the Dalton's law, Raoult's law, the Nash distribution law, and the factors that affecting the solubility of solid in liquid. Thank you.